Hey guys, it's Kade with Endure Hunt. In this week's episode, we're talking about food in the backcountry. Hey friends, welcome back to another video. This week's video, we're going to go over just some of the basics. It's not going to be super in-depth, so if you do have questions, make sure you throw them down in the comments below so that we can throw another one of these videos together. We're just going to go over some of the basics of what we do in the backcountry for food. This is 1 day's worth of food. You can see it's fairly small, fairly compact. That's because I do have a vacuum sealer, which makes it really handy, so you can put all your food into one bag. Trevor likes using Ziploc bags, just the gallon Ziploc bags. I've used that before I had a vacuum sealer. I mean, vacuum sealers are like 20 bucks at Walmart or something like that, so it's really not that big of a deal. You do obviously have to buy the rolls of the bags, but anyway, this is what I like to do. I just like that it's so much more compact than those Ziplocs, and the seals never break on them, so that's what I like to do. I go through and I make sure that I have at least 3,000 calories in each day's worth of food, because when you're in the backcountry, you're hiking, everyone's a little different. Just for me, I'm not a huge guy, but I am burning a lot of calories, so I like to do at least 3,000 calories. You could see, if you go back some of our bear hunting videos, I've eaten all 3,000 calories before noon, and that's kind of it, and I'm just kind of out of food. So I would say always do a little bit more than you think, just because you do need to eat, and it is hard to remember to eat sometimes when you're kind of in the thrill of the hunt. I do want to kind of go over a few different things that I like to pack. Everyone's different. I would say one of the most important parts is to make sure that you try the food before you're out there. If you go out there and you don't like the food, then you're miserable. I know some of this food can be expensive, especially if you're gonna be out there for 10, 14 days. It's a lot of food and it could be expensive. So I get the hesitation of trying it first, but you got to make sure you try it first. Otherwise, it's not going to go well. I had a whole trip once that all I brought for food, like no snacks. I didn't bring any snacks. I just brought tuna fish and crackers, and that was it for 10 days in the backcountry, deep in there. Water was scarce, so I didn't really have a lot of water. Anyway, it was miserable. One of the worst experiences of my entire life. I remember looking over it. It wasn't Trevor, but I was with another hunting buddy, and he had this fresh apple, and he just bites into it. And I just remember looking at the juice going down his face, and I was like, there's no way. I'm never doing this again. Anyway, so don't do that. Make sure you have a little bit of diversity. Even if you think you can eat the same thing, when you're out there, you're not going to want it. And especially if it's something really dry, because water can be scarce. I do like having all snacks and food in here. I don't put a dinner in here. A lot of guys will put dinner in this. The way we hunt, we're always kind of changing, obviously depending on the species and everything. But if you do have a base camp, if you're bear hunting or something, you have kind of a base camp and you're going out, and you're going to be back at camp for dinner, then I just throw my dinners separate. This is a ReadyWise. This is like the Walmart cheap brand. I always have rocked the Peak meals, and those are like 14 bucks a piece, which is kind of nuts. These are like, I don't know, I got them on a deal for like 8 bucks, so they're quite a bit less expensive. I haven't tried them yet, so I don't know, but I have like a lot of them. So again, I'm going to try these before I actually get out in the field, because if I hate them and they're terrible, then there's no point. But anyway, so I don't pack these in my little bags. Some people do that. I don't do that, just because I don't want to haul it around all day if I have a base camp set up or something like that. So I just like having snacks. On the lid of my backpack, we'll probably throw out a video eventually of how we organize our backpacks, but I just have my food really accessible at the top, and then I'll have like one extra day's worth of food in case I get lost or something like that. But anyway, so let me go over a few of the things I like to bring. This one's already been packed. Obviously I have a few of these already. This is for last year. Some stuff I always like to bring is mango slices. You just get these at Costco. Almost all this stuff is purchased at Costco, Winco. I try and be really cheap, but still have high calorie stuff and not be super heavy. So one of my favorites, I guess mango slices is a big one for me. I like those. I also love these little fig bars. Never thought I'd be a fan of these ever, but I was on a hunt, I don't know, a few years ago, and Trevor was like, try this. And I was like, I don't really like those. And I tried it, and game changer. 200 calories a piece. So I normally have like 4 of these a day. They're not the lightest thing in the world, but they are pretty calorie dense. I don't know, they're pretty compact. They pack down really nice. So there's 4 of those in here. Another thing that I've been doing lately is these little things from Costco. They're pure organic layered fruit bars, variety pack. So they're like they're kind of like a natural fruit roll-up thing, but it's kind of like a little bar form. Anyway, I like these. You know, if you have a Costco membership, you can go test them out, I'm sure. But anyway, so I have a few of these I like thrown in there. I think these are only like 60 calories. Yeah, 60 calories. As you can tell, I know the calorie count on these because when you're sorting them, I like just doing them all at once. You know, just get all your snacks, put them in bags, and just be done with it. I like doing that at the beginning of the year, so that's actually what I'm doing today. Is getting ready for, you know, we probably got like 14 to 20 days of bear season, and then getting ready for fall and everything. So, beef sticks. I just have, you know, like the Jack Link's little, you know, jerky sticks. Something I'm trying this year, turkey jerky. A little different. I'm not anti-beef by any means, but this stuff's pretty cheap, and I tried it, and it's actually pretty good. So that's what I'm gonna be rocking. And another one of my go-tos are these little Ritz cheese snack crackers. These are 220 calories per pack. They can be kind of dry, so I'd be a little careful with them. And I think they have a lot of carbs, if I remember right. Yeah, 25 grams of carbs, so a pretty decent amount of carbs. And I like throwing, you know, 2 or 3 of those in. You'll see I kind of have some more cheese crackers. I'm just not a huge fan of the peanut butter crackers. They just kind of get old to me, but cheese, I could eat all day. So that's kind of just some of the main stuff that I like to eat. I am going to try out these. I would not ever recommend bringing any kind of chocolate or coated chocolate in case it's hot. However, I'm going to try it this year. I've done it before and I always regret it, but I love these little pure protein bars. There's like chocolate peanut butter. It comes with dark chocolate deluxe, chewy chocolate chip. Anyway, all sorts of different kinds. So I'm going to try that out this year, especially in the spring when it's early spring, when it's fairly cold, so I know that the chocolate isn't going to melt. I got some more flavors of the fig bars because I'm obviously a fan of that. Let's talk about electrolytes. I know it's a little different than food, but I've actually really enjoyed these little Winco brand electrolyte blends. I'm not a huge fan of grape, and when I first opened this, I saw there was an apple flavor, and I thought, who on earth would ever eat or drink an apple electrolyte packet? But that's somehow my favorite kind now. So, but anyways, that's what I run for electrolytes, or I have been lately. I do actually have a lot of liquid IVs. Those are really, really good. I have some Wilderness Athlete electrolyte packets. Obviously, I'm not going to take this whole thing because that's kind of heavy, but I have that. I have some Black Flag little samples. Anyway, all sorts of little electrolyte packets, but give these a shot, honestly. I mean, they're like, I don't even know, like $3. You're going to want a few packs of these, but they always do the trick for me, and they're way less expensive than Mountain Ops or those other brands that I just mentioned. So give those a shot and see what you think. I've also done, this one has Pop-Tarts in it. Not always the healthiest thing for you, but they got a lot of carbs in there. So I love Pop-Tarts. I love bread, that kind of stuff. But anyway, that's kind of my main stuff. The key is, I really think, is you got to put them in bags like this. You know, they can get heavy when you got, you know, 10, 14 days worth of food. It's going to be heavy regardless, so there's not a lot you can do. But if you can, if you can get them individual packs, and then maybe you can stash 5 days worth of food somewhere else because you know you're going to be back. That's something that we've tried just because it can be heavy. All of these, you know, I'm sure you could find more lightweight stuff, but these all have weight in mind. You know, mango slices aren't too bad. These aren't too bad. They don't have a ton of calories, but they aren't too bad. The fig bars really aren't that heavy. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but they're not too heavy. I like to stay under like 1.5 pounds is typically what these will weigh. That's most of the basics. If you have more questions, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just put a bunch of food in a bag, you know, zip it up. I've written, you know, the day on there, so I know that, oh, this is for Monday, this is for Tuesday. I don't do that anymore just because I like kind of being surprised. You know, I'll throw extra one of these in there or something, or a few extra electrolyte packets or something, and Just kind of makes it fun. But yeah, that's what I do. Again, this video isn't super in-depth. If you have more questions about, specifics of, other food we pack, what to do for dinners, stuff like that, just let us know in the comments and we can throw something together. But that's the basics. Make sure you're counting calories though. I really think it's important to count calories or carbs, or just make sure you know that you have a substantial amount of food for every day. The vacuum sealer is a game changer. Some other foods that I've brought on hunting trips and Trevor brings is honey steiners. Those are really high in carbs. They're super lightweight. So they're just like honey and a waffle combined basically. So I like those a lot. They can be kind of expensive. I'd go on Amazon. They have like a big pack on Amazon that's way cheaper than you're gonna find in any in-person store. So honey steiners are good. Trevor likes bringing the little squeeze packets of like peanut butter and Nutella and stuff. Obviously peanut butter is pretty good for you. So you could try that out. These are just a few examples, a few ideas. Maybe try some of these out. Again, I'd eat them beforehand. Make sure you know what you're getting yourself into so you don't have diarrhea on the mountain or something like that, or you don't feel sick, ruin your hunt. But fairly lightweight. I just throw a bunch of these bags together. I do have one giant dry bag that I like to stick all of my food in. That way I just kind of know it's going to be in one spot. If you're in bear country, you can roll this up and you can hang all your food and everything up in a tree. So I like just throwing all my food in one big dry bag. That way I know it doesn't get ruined. And then, like I said, having my accessible one just right here. Every once in a while I will throw a Ziploc bag in one of these, or I'll just throw a Ziploc bag in my pack, because when you do cut these open, you're gonna have trash somewhere. Just the top of this is gonna be trash. You eat a Pop-Tart, that's gonna be trash. You eat one of these little fruit bars, that's gonna be trash. So I like just having a little Ziploc that I can stick the trash into. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing this, but we do monthly giveaways, so just make sure you get in on those. This month we're doing a bear call, a Primos bear call. There's a whole video we released just a few weeks ago covering how to use that and everything. But all you gotta do is just be subscribed to our channel and you're in. You can leave a comment on this video and you get more entries. You're limited to one per video. Anyway, check the description, all the details are down there. But basically interact with our content. We're trying to build a community here. So if you interact and you become a part of that community, basically you're into the giveaways. So it's pretty easy. Literally you gotta click one button down below and you're in. So make sure you do that. Stay tuned for next week. We're releasing the episode 6, season 1 episode 6. So the next part of our backcountry mule deer hunt. So make sure you're staying tuned for that. It's a pretty awesome video. And then I think we're gonna try and release those hunt films once a month, and then in between, once a week, we're gonna release little videos like this. So if you have other ideas of videos, questions you have about backcountry hunting, we do a lot of backcountry hunting, hundreds of days probably. So we're out there all the time. So if you have questions, let us know. We're not experts. I'm not an expert. I'm rocking what am I rocking? Winco branded electrolytes. So not that it doesn't make you an expert, but we're just trying to be cheap. We're just kind of getting going. So if you got questions for us, maybe you're doing your first Western hunt or something, we've done it before. So hit us up in the comments below, and looking forward to next week.